Hello and welcome back to my channel. We're going to talk about public DNA sites, how your DNA is sold, how it's used in criminal investigations, and I'm going to leave an open topic for conversation that I kind of want to see down in the comments. Alright, so when you get your DNA, when you go to ancestry.com, you get your DNA through them. When you go through 23andMe, all these other places, and you get your DNA back, you enter it into a public domain website, or at least most people do, to try and find other ancestors. And cops, insurance companies, and other things are using that information that is now public information to gather information on you. Like, let me give you an example. Criminal investigations. The Golden State Killer is the first case that I am aware of where they used a public online DNA form to track a killer. They took his DNA, made a fake name and profile, then put his DNA into that system until it got a familiar link. And then they were able to trace that familiar link down a family tree to the Golden State Killer, where they were then able to access his DNA and get his DNA from his trash. A lot of people think that that violates basic privacy, and that your DNA is private, it is personal to you. But when a family member enters it into a website, they're only entering part of your DNA. Do you own everyone's DNA in your family because it's part of your DNA? Or are they allowed to put their DNA wherever they want and allow it to be accessed by public forms like the police and insurance companies? It's kind of a twofold game here, because I honestly think that you own your DNA, but you don't own your family member's DNA. So what they do with it is their business. And yes, it is technically connected to you, but it's still their business. On the other hand, I understand that insurance companies could take the information, because there's a lot of information they can get about your DNA from these companies, and they can buy it. And some of the information they can get from your DNA is if you're genetically at risk for more things, if you are connected to someone who's had cancer, things like that become accessible to insurance companies, and then they can use that information that they purchased from these ancestry sites to build a profile on you and then charge your insurance accordingly. So you may not have a pre-existing condition, but they can now think that you are a higher risk and charge you a higher rate. And I feel like that would be a bad thing. So should it be available to crime people if they use a fake profile, but not allowed to be sold to public companies? Because you do sign an agreement when you do this, or you don't sign it, but you log in, you agree to the terms and conditions. When you do all this stuff and send it in, you agree that they can sell your DNA for research purposes, insurance companies, things like that. So where does our privacy begin? I don't know if anyone's actually touched on this in the courts. I haven't been able to find anything. I think it would be interesting to have a conversation about it below in the comments, and I will see you later.